Dane Rose here, and for week number 10, for those of you who are joining me on this year of transformation and growth, recommend going back to week number 1 and doing it in sequence because they're building on one another. In this week's topic, we're going to explore measuring what matters, and we're continuing on the theme of relationship. So we've already talked about several things that start the thing flowing, identifying what makes you feel totally loved, helping your partner to feel totally loved, learning to honor the inner ages in our last video. And in this one, measure what matters is the focus. And this can be an ongoing conversation. You can write these questions down. You can keep them by your bed. This is definitely more in the romantic terrain, but with a close friend, you can build it there, and you can translate something like this into a professional relationship with some people. You can also explore this with some people. There are a demographic of people who just refuse to have anything like this conversation, and that's a pity. But if you're fortunate enough to be with someone who will grow with you, who's willing to infuse consciousness, who's willing to put happiness over normalcy, none of what we're talking about is normal. Normal puts you in the probability field of the norm. That's 1 in 3 domestic relationships with violence, which, if 1 in 3 have violence, that's not saying a lot for the other 2, because it's not black and white. That's a lot of misery that 1 in 3 actually expresses as violence, and the others maybe don't express it as violence, but there's still a lot of misery, and the 50% divorce rate and all that. So if you want to break out of those statistical nightmares, you're going to have to do something differently. And here's one of them that I love. It's called Measure What Matters. So companies, we value money. Money in our culture matters. So we measure it in all kinds of levels. We measure cash flow. We measure return on investment. We measure interest rates. We contractualize everything. We measure money because money matters. And money matters because of the cultural narrative, because of the cultural paradigm of rationalist, it's a mouthful, rationalist, reductionist, scientific, materialistic capitalism. This is our dominant cultural paradigm. And within the capitalistic part, the idea is you work hard whatever way you need to do to make a lot of money, and then you will be happy because you can spend the money being happy. And then just to confuse you, we have statements like money doesn't buy happiness or can't buy happiness and da-da-da. Sonia Lyubomirsky, in her studies on happiness, remarkable how few studies there are on this important value, shows that money is significant up to a certain point. That for example, an individual American, the first $60,000 for an individual of income will dramatically increase your happiness. But going from 60,000 to 120,000 will not dramatically improve your happiness. And going from 120,000 to $1 billion may make your happiness worse. So so money is correlated up to a point of taking away survival fears. After you are not afraid of dying, basically, money does not correlate very much with happiness. It's about 10%. But it's a big deal when you don't have it. So we measure money, and it works. We don't invest our money in companies that don't even have a financial statement. I've no idea what we make, no idea how much we're projecting to make next year, I know how much money, but we want to take your money. No, we don't do that. We say, go to lunch. We'll invest in a serious company. But we do invest in relationships without measuring anything. And this is, I think, a mistake. Measuring cash flow, money, works. Measuring, what we measure grows. This has been shown scientifically. Anything you start bringing in, whether it's a measurement of racism, a measurement of how many women are given jobs versus this, whatever we measure in an environment grows. That's how it works. The mechanism is consciousness. In order to measure it, you've got to pay attention. When you pay attention to something, you make better decisions. It improves. That's the basic physics of it. Physics of consciousness. So what do we want to measure? We want to measure happiness, joy, enthusiasm and energy level, growth, closeness, love, and sexual desire. I would say the last thing is a good indicator that the first 6 are doing well. Just like in a business, if you are providing excellent service, if you are growing the business, if you've got a high profit margin, if you've got good cash flow reserves, you expect the business to grow. Similarly, if your happiness is going up, if your joy is high, if your enthusiasm is high and going up, if you're growing in the relationship, if closeness is high and love is high, you will have sexual desire. So sexual desire is more of kind of a final, it's kind of like the bottom line. So how do you do it? Well, I do it in pillow talk with my partner. We sometimes share our diaries and has lists like this. Is it up, down, whatever today? Now, do not expect these to be static. You're going to have a day with a flat tire and all that, and it crashes. And there's a reason for that. That's not a concern. What we're looking for is the trend. It's the trend that matters. Is happiness, are we happier than we were a month ago? That's a short-term trend. Are we happier than we were a year ago? What were we feeling a year ago? We were all excited about this, that, and the other. Do we have any of that feeling now? What's happening short and long-term in each of these areas? 1 to 10. And why? See, these are just focal points. The whole purpose is to flood awareness into variables that affect these things. Why? Because if you are happy, filled with joy, enthusiastic, growth, closeness, and feel love, you are going to have an amazing relationship. These are also symptoms that you're doing the right thing. Emotions are always symptomatic of thoughts and actions. Emotions don't just appear out of nothing. They appear out of thoughts and action, and they tell the truth. If you are bored in your relationship, it means you're failing, and or your partner is failing. You failed to pick the right partner, perhaps, or you failed to coach them, etc., etc. You are failing in the relationship. And if it's getting worse, it means you're not doing anything about it. So I've had a very clear standard in my relationships that works for me. If we are not growing in these areas, we are going to do one of two things. Either you're going to join me in doing everything we can to turn life around so that we are. You want to do that? Or, nah, I'm not interested. I don't want to work that much, blah, blah, blah. Or we're going to disengage. Because I don't want the most important relationship in my life to be depreciating in value week by week, any more than I want to be owning a stock that is on a steady downturn, that I can look forward to. If we just keep this up in another 10 years, it will be worth absolutely nothing. That's a great nest egg, isn't it? I don't want that. I want growth. Now, Unfortunately or fortunately for you, I'm intense about this. So I have to pick a certain kind of person because it's no fun to nag someone. Come on, grow, what about this? You said you had a goal. Have you made any accomplishment in your goal? Have you done any? No, nothing, That's no fun. Boring. But to grow together, to care about each other and watch that growth, it's exhilarating. And it keeps the vitality, the sustainability. Sustainability means one thing. More value is coming in, more energy is coming in than going out. If more value is going out than going in, if more energy is going out than going in, it is not sustainable. It doesn't matter if it's a company, a bank account, an ecology, a planet, or a person. That's the bottom line. And these are metrics of sustainability. Now, a lot of people go about this the exact opposite way, meaning if you go online, you'll find endless ads for people that say they have no baggage, lie, and they want low maintenance. Good luck. In other words, their expectation is that the value of the relationship is going to be low based on past experience. And as a result, what they're trying to do is keep their costs low. It's kind of like going car shopping. How much you got? Well, I've always had clunker cars. They always seem to go fail. I'm not willing to spend more than $1,000 on a car. I want a low maintenance car. I don't want to put too much into it. I don't want to work on it. None of that. I just want it to work. How much are you going to pay for it? $1,000. You are going to get a clunker. And wouldn't you know, when you get your first $3,000 bill for the transmission in a 1982 Civic, whatever, you say, oh, I don't want to pay that, and you're just going to let your $1,000 go, and then you'll invest another $1,000 in another car until the bill comes in, and you'll just swap loser cars for loser cars. That's the approach of keeping costs low. Low maintenance, no hassle, blah, blah, blah. I'm low maintenance and low hassle. I do the exact opposite. I am high maintenance. I am high cost. I'm a Lamborghini. If you want to play with me, it's going to be $300,000. Repairs are going to be intricate and whatever. But what I'm interested in doing is something different, and that is making it so valuable that it's worth the cost. That's my focus. I've never met a perfect partner, not even close, not once. But I have met partners with all of their flaws who are willing to consciously create extraordinary value that will more than pay the cost of the downside. My partner right now has restless legs. You know what that means for a sensitive person? That means just as I'm about to fall off to sleep, there's a thud and a rustle, and I wake up again. It's terrible. We all have costs. I have no doubts about choosing this woman. Not because there isn't restless legs, not because there isn't this problem over here, not because there isn't that problem over there, not because she's low maintenance. But to give you just one example in the growth arena, she has grown 3,600%. I'm not going to get into exactly, what that means, but basically, if you add up, 20 skills that you're interested in improving, and you improve one 200%, and you improve another 300%, and you improve another one 50%, and you improve another one 10%, and you improve another one 2,000%. You add up all the improvements in the areas that you're trying to improve, what they are in a given period of time. You add it all up. It's a lot of growth. That's exciting. Do you know how much Warren Buffett would salivate over a stock that not only grew 3,600% in a year and a half and counting, but was a passionate and beautiful human being, helped me grow, was a wonderful lover. I mean, restless legs be damned. And when I'm ready to go to sleep, she is the most accommodating person you can imagine. I'll go sleep over here so I don't disturb you. Done. The negative is down. The positives are enormous. For both of us. I mean, do you know how much fun it is to watch someone just take off in their life? It is beautiful. And she's done that growth with less whining, bitching, backlash, resistance, and all that than many people who didn't grow 20%, 3,600%, 20%. There's a lot of stagnation out there. That's not what I want for my primary relationship. It's not what I want for you. It's not what I want for your partner. And the key is measure what matters. So if you will have regular pillow talks, if you'll do a weekly report, you can do it formally, informally, whatever gets your mind into it. But cover this data and make it 1 to 10 in a specified period, because there is a lot of what I call the pleaser in relationships. A lot of what do they want to hear? My girlfriend's got it. You know? My love's growing 20% today. I love you 20% more than I did yesterday. And then today it's 30%. And it's like, wait a minute. So let's add these up. So in a week, you're saying your love has grown 200%? How exactly? Like, you're not smiling 200% more. You're not, it's not showing up in the happiness. Where is it? Well, she wanted to make me happy, so you've got to have a certain amount of discipline. I mean, if the accountant in a corporation could just raise the profit line from 10 million to 200 million because the shareholders were happy, that's great. But the cash has got to be in the bank. You got to track it. Well, where did that come from? It seems a little off here. The accounting seems off, and this is easier to do. Remember, we're emotionally illiterate as a culture, and we're not used to measuring emotion. But what could be more valuable? The whole reason we measure money is the hypothesis, false for those of us making more than $60,000 a year, that it will dramatically improve our happiness. It doesn't. I'm paying money to do this. I pay my assistant to stick these videos up because I have more fun doing these videos than getting paid hundreds of dollars an hour to do what other people like to pay me for. So it doesn't add up that way. So if money should be measured because it leads to happiness, and this actually leads to happiness, and you don't even need money for it. This stuff doesn't need money. It's the way we talk. It's the things that we do. It's the way we hold each other. It's the amount of time we spend. It's learning, no, don't interrupt me when you see me typing. No, you don't even have to ask. If I need to finish my sentence, just give me a little bit of paper that says you have something to say, and when I finish my typing, I'll come right to you. How about that? And I'm not like, it just broke my train of thought. These little things in a relationship create value. Suddenly I'm not dreading you coming near me when I'm typing. I'm relaxed because I know you know how to respect that space because I've taught you. And you've taught me how to respect your space. You've told me, no, not like this, like this. So the happiness is up. The joy is up. Because we worked on it. Because we created that. So measuring these things is great. And there, as I say, there will be ups, there will be downs. These are external circumstances. For example, I'm on a 4-month vacation right now. It's easier than if I was dealing with a difficult job on a difficult client. So if my frustration, irritation, and all that coming from, being heavily engaged in business contracting, etc., is up 30%, and thus my happiness is down 30%, that's an external event. But I would actually consider that very good for our relationship if my externals were down 30%, but we were only down 15%. That suggests that without those externals there, we'd actually be up in the 45%. But it's being depressed by things that have nothing to do with the relationship. That's still something to watch, and I have fired clients. I've gone to a client, said, look, a couple of clients, this is stressful, it's messing with my personal relationship, I don't need the money. What do we have to do to disengage so that you're happy and don't feel just left in the lurch? I realize I'm backing out suddenly. What do I have to do? I wrote one client a $20,000 check. Here you go. I don't want to do this with you anymore. That made him happy. And I attended to my partner. Be responsible. Don't bring in externals unless overall, my last job was hell. But it bought the 4-month vacation. So overall, it's good for the relationship. And that's, how I measure things. Relationships give me more joy than almost anything else. Relationships and creativity, they're the peak for me. So I have to measure everything I do in life, the money I make, the jobs I do, etc., by what helps my relationship and what helps my creativity. That's what makes a happy Dane. So this is what you measure. Make a list, 1 to 10, track the trend. If you do it on a daily or a weekly basis, you can do it periodically. You can set a reminder in your calendar. You can, if I want to be prompted to things, I have a very active mind, so I create one list, I forget all about it and stuff. I just tape it right by the bed. Well, you can't forget it. You tape it on the mirror. You can tape it 3 places. And then anytime you're there, hey, how's your happiness today? What's the joy level? I'm at this, that, and the other. And then what works? What brings it up? What brings it down? What's the least amount of effort to bring it the most value? How about for you? And you find the common ground. It's really, really exciting. So good luck. If you do this, and it helps, remember the 80-20 rule. Ignore 80% of what I'm saying. Pick the 20% that you think is really going to work for you. If this is part of that 20% for you, you do it and it's growing up. I'd love to hear. What's it doing? What's it doing for your personal life? Because you can apply this personally. You can happiness, joy, enthusiasm, energy, growth, closeness. And it's not going to increase the amount you masturbate, but you can do this for yourself. You can do it in a relationship. But I think these matter. Now, if these don't matter, still measure what matters. Make your own list of 7 things that you audit on a regular basis to get a sense, are you heading the place that you want to go? Because being positive about a lie shortchanges yourself. Here's what I mean. If your happiness is going down 5% a week and it's been going on for some time, if your joy is nowhere to be found, if your energy is a 2, your growth is static, your closeness with yourself or anyone else is, up and down, you're not really in touch with love, and you tell yourself that you're heading for a great life, you're bullshitting. And the saddest thing is, if you bullshit yourself effectively, you will end up 10 years later. And you'll say, what happened? I was so positive. It is not positive to look at these numbers and say everything's great. What's positive is to be honest. This has been flatlined for years. This is going down. This goes up whenever I see this friend, and I hardly ever see this friend. This goes here, da-da-da-da-da, and I don't know what to do. Well, you start trying. You start doing experiments. What if I meditate? What if I cut out the news? What if I, look into the other things in the thing? And you measure it. Because to be positive and celebrate the fact that these are all going up is a healthy form of positive. It's honest. You will have a high bank account at the end of 10 years with that routine. But to have these indexes going down and say, whatever the universe wants for me, it's all for the best. I'm sure it's going down for some very special reason. I have no idea what it is, but God's plan, all this bullshit. You will get exactly what you're willing to have, which is a mediocre life. And that's sad. Because it could be exceptional. If you measure this stuff and start even the littlest thing, it could be exceptional. Companies like Google, Facebook, etc., that see tens of thousands of % return on investment don't get it. Losing money like mad and being positive about it. You've got to relate to some fundamentals. And it's fine if you have a set period of a lost leader. For example, you start working out, feels like shit. Keep working out, feels like shit. Week number 2, it doesn't feel like shit anymore. Week number 3, it feels great. If you're in that kind of a thing and it's clear, and ask some honest friends, to help, fine, great. But most things, and there are enough of them, start with those things. Start with the things that make you feel great immediately. And go from there. Then start using that capital. When you build up a style capital, you got all this enthusiasm worked up from eye gazing and loving and talking and doing 20 things on their 40 item, make them feel totally loveless, see recent videos, etc. And then you have all this reserve and you want to do something difficult like build a house together. That's going to take energy, it's going to pull things down, it's going to add stress to the schedule, etc. On the other side of that, you can see that you're building enough energy, money and all that to be able to pay for it. On the other side of that, you can see this all going up, the partnering opportunity to do that. That's great. Thanks for watching.